Thanks for staying with us. So, join us to discuss the state of the nation and governance in Kogi State is His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello Adoza. Good morning, sir. Are you there, Governor Yahaya Bello?
Good morning to you all in the studio, and good morning to viewers in Nigeria and around the world.
Yes, good to have you on the show, sir. Right. So, sir, let me start first with your meeting that you had recently concerning the blockade of the unions bringing foodstuff down south. I had seen a video by Chief Fani Kayode expressing his gratitude to your intervention and how you're able to bring the unions together to upturn their initial plans of stopping food to the south. Tell me exactly what that meeting entailed and what was the decisions that was made at that meeting.
Thank you very much. Let me just lay a little background to what culminated into the meeting with the Amalgamated Union of Foodstuff and Cattle Dealers Association of Nigeria. These are ordinary Nigerians who, out of their personal sweat, pulled together resources to carry on the business of trading on foodstuff and livestock, transporting them from one part of the country to another, particularly from the northern part to the southern part. They have membership cut across the 36 states plus FCT, all the 774 local governments across the country. The membership cut across ethnic background, religious background, or political parties. And they've been carrying on this business of trading from time immemorial. But unfortunately, the incident of the NSAS and the recent Sasa market skirmishes brought about the recent industrial action, or let me say strike. These people transport goods and services across the country, and they've been faced with a lot of challenges. Challenges of insecurity, challenges of extortion by some law enforcement agencies and touts along the federal highways, challenges of bad roads and infrastructure, and several others. And these people now face man-made crises, NSAS and the Sasa carnage. They've written severally to various authorities, from communities to local governments, to states, to the federal government, to all law enforcement agencies, to organizations, to unions, to traditional rulers, to the religious leaders, all across the country, pointing out the injustice they faced. That these their members across the country are carrying on these businesses lawfully. They pay taxes at the point of loading, they pay taxes at the point of loading. So, and they seem not to hear anybody responding to them. All their cries fell on deaf ears, and hence the only option, legal, as 300 and above in the down southern part of the country. People are beginning to suffer from ordinary food. Meanwhile, it is abound in the northern part, and they'll be perishing. Now, if this were to allow to linger on without anybody attending to them at all, then it will amount to a major crisis in the country, not only food crisis. It will amount to serious civil unrest. In fact, it is even getting to a point where it is already emotions are being built up, pent up, that it is assumed as if the Hausa Fulanis are being targeted in the south and being killed, because actually they are major in transporting those goods and services from far north to down south. Their trucks, their trailers, their goods are being destroyed. And these are people that are carrying on their legal businesses. Their people, their members were killed in their hundreds, massacred. These are lawful, ordinary Nigerians carrying on their lawful businesses.
Right. Okay.
Yes, I know there is a pent-up anger regarding the issue of some criminals in the bush that are, committing one criminality or the other. Now, what is happening is that even in the far north, the youths are already getting agitated to carry out certain reprisals and what have you. And if we allow it to continue to linger on, it can snowball into a major catastrophe in the country. We have to now quickly wade in.
Right.
Myself, Chief Femi Fani Kayode, Alhaji May Agogo, that is Sarki Yakin Baba Buhari, and Alhaji Sharif. We quickly wade in into this particular matter to resolve it. So this is exactly what brought us into the matter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your Excellency, thank you for laying out exactly what the consequences of this would have been for everyone in Nigeria, because there was a point where it seemed that only one side would suffer and everyone else would move on. But could you give us exactly what the resolutions you came to with the union and the traders, and why you're positive that these things will be better going forward?
Thank you very much. Straight to the answer, they have very simple demands. One, that those are members that were killed unjustly, the extrajudicial killings, the massacre, the destruction of lives and livelihoods that were carried out on their members, there should be compensation for their livelihoods, and there should be justice for those that were killed. Very simple demand. Also, that the extortion of their members, you wouldn't imagine that a trailer, if you take a hire of a trailer for goods and services, for goods specifically, from Mubi, for instance, aside the bad roads that they have to take a longer route, some of the cows we see in Lagos and other parts of the down south would have taken days or weeks before it gets down to the south. Sometimes they will have to stop up to 3 or 4 times, because these are, living things, the cows. They will offload them somewhere to graze, to eat, to refresh, drink water, load them again, and sometimes they do that 5 times before they get to Lagos. But along the line, they are stopped to extort. So if you charter a vehicle for, say, 300,000 or 400,000, the trailers would have to set aside additional 450,000 to 500,000 to settle some law enforcement agencies on the road and touts along the road, especially down to the side of the east and to the south. So this extortion is really, really, telling hard on them.
Right.
They are demanding that this extortion should be stopped.
Okay.
They are ready to pay any tax whatsoever. And even there is an agreement between the union and the federal government where it has been gazetted, and they are paying those taxes. So if those extortions can be stopped,
right?
I mean, this is their simple demand. There's nothing. Okay. There's no two hard ways. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Governor Yahaya Bello.
And also, please permit me. And also that this is a Nigeria. The angle of saying they are not free to trade in the down south or any part of the country, if they are going, there's a lot of harassment. That if Nigeria is no longer one, they should be given passports so that if they are entering another land, they will know what they are facing. They are trading within the country, so that safety and security of their lives and livelihood in every part of the country should be guaranteed. These are the simple demands.
Let me go on a quick break, sir. When we come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We still have the Executive Governor of Kogi State with us, Governor Yahaya Bello. Yes, PC had a question before the break.
Okay, Governor, I wanted to know the time frame that you agreed to see some of these resolutions come to bear, because we know the way we are in this country. Most times we set out to have policies and guidelines, and then the implementation becomes a problem. So did you people arrive at a time frame that you will see all of the resolutions come to bear? And secondly, what are the exact steps that you have outlined to see that the extortions on the road stop for these traders?
Thank you very much. First, they believe in my integrity. Okay. They believe that whatever I set out to achieve, I achieve it 100%. They believe in my leadership style and quality. Ordinarily, they would have given time, more conditions, and wait till it begins to implement its implementation. Because they believe in the person they are negotiating with, or at least that is mediating. And they equally believe that when their demands are brought before Mr. President will graciously attend to them. I was able to convince them, or we were able to convince them, that they called off the strike. So first, there's no time given, no ultimatum given before they could call off their strike. Simply believing in our leadership and believing in Mr. President.
Right.
That is trust. And we are not going to betray that trust. And on the part of Mr. President and other law enforcement agencies, I have presented the matter before Mr. President yesterday in the presence of the Chief of Staff to Mr. President, Ambassador Gambari. And Mr. President was very concerned about the plight of these ordinary Nigerians. He is so concerned about that. And he has promised to start implementation immediately, especially calling on law enforcement agencies to stop the extortion and even provide security for them along the road and where they carry on their businesses.
Right.
That I am taking to the Inspector General of Police. Mr. President equally directed that I meet with the Inspector General of Police and other law enforcement agencies to ensure that the lives and livelihoods of these ordinary Nigerians are protected. Right. And that was where he further emphasized that the unity of this country is unnegotiable.
Okay.
And we are on the path to ensure that it is everything is resolved.
Okay, go ahead.
Your Excellency, I want us to move into security generally. There are major security challenges across this country, carrying different nomenclature. For some it is banditry, for some it's kidnapping, for some it's headers, farmer crisis, but we definitely have a huge insecurity challenge across the country. What would you say, what did we miss it? What did we do wrong? It seems to have gone worse over the past 5 years. What could we have done better?
Well, let me just address it very simply. Very simply. The insecurity or these challenges of security we are facing in the country today is not up to 1/10 of what I inherited in Kogi State when I assumed office as the 4th executive governor on 27th of January 2016. Today, the problem has been brought under control, largely. We have the issue of farmers' headers in Kogi State. We had it. It's been controlled. We have the issue of communal clashes. It's been controlled. The issue of even ISWAP and some of these Boko Haram cells were existing in Kogi State. It has been brought under control. In fact, we have chased them, routed them out completely. In fact, at a point, we had ISIS cells in Kogi State. We rout them out. My dear sisters and dear Nigerians, if we want to tackle the issue of insecurity in this country, then let's drop politics and face the challenge head on. We will solve it within a twinkle of an eye.
Please, share what you did. We would love to hear from you how, and I know that to a large extent what you're saying has a bit of the truth to it, because we know the crisis that you inherited. So what exactly did you do? What are the strategies? Some governors would watch this and it would be solutions for them to implement.
All governors are trying their best. The federal government are trying their best. But this is what I did. I apply sincerity. I am straightforward. I'm decisive. I deal with criminals wherever they come from. I don't criminalize ethnicity or race. I get the people involved. I ensure that the law enforcement agencies existing in my state have synergy and cooperation, and information sharing mechanism were strengthened. I encourage the law enforcement agencies. I build confidence in the minds and souls of the citizens of Kogi State, so they volunteer information. I ensure that they take security as their business number one, daily, every hour, every second, and they cooperate 100% with law enforcement agencies. I ensure that politicians don't politicize insecurity in the state. If we discover, we deal with you decisively and squarely. And that is why we're having it good, at least to a very large extent, in Kogi State today.
Your Excellency, let me ask you this question, because it was quite popular that Sheikh Gumi had advised that the bandits deserve some kind of amnesty, especially because we've given amnesty to other sectors, other criminals in different parts of the country. Do you think there is reason in what he has said? And do you, being the governor that you are and the fact that you've been intimidating with all these people, do you think he has reason to say they deserve some kind of amnesty?
If the banditry we are experiencing in the north today is different from the agitators in the down south.
Thank you, sir.
That is number one. Number two, probably he is putting it wrongly or not in the right perspective. Today, it is generally assumed that those that carries arm or that are carrying arm against the state were Fulanis, their cattle have been rustled, there's no more grazing areas and what have you, their cattle can no longer graze, and they died or they sold them off or they are being rustled and what have you before, and then they took arms against the state. That is criminality. That is number one. Number two, I will not negotiate with criminals. You come to my field, I meet you on the field, I take you out. That is number one. Number two, but that is not to say that genuine Fulani people, genuine headers, genuine livestock keepers should not be assisted. For crying out loud, if banks can be bailed out, if airlines can be bailed out, if other businesses can be bailed out, why are we not bailing out the livestock keepers and ensure that we don't play politics with it? Let us invest heavily in livestock keeping in Nigeria. We're consuming heavy meat, a large tons of meat every day. Milk are still being imported, and all other allied products are still being consumed daily in Nigeria. Some of these cows are even being imported from outside the country through the north and then taken down to south. Why can't we invest heavily in it? And every day we're in the media playing politics, over it. Whoever is ready to go into this livestock keeping, please, for crying out loud, let the authorities assist them and bail them out.
Yeah. Okay.
So that whoever is carrying arms again against the state can be dealt with decisively.
Yeah, so Your Excellency, there's something that really bothers me when it comes to this issue of constant kidnapping across the north of children. They'll take them from schools, take them through the forest for days before they finally hand them over. And I wonder, do you think our security operatives and our military is very well versed in the, geography of the forest? Do they understand all the ins and outs of the forest? Do we have forest guards? Because I mentioned this also because there used to be a time the forest surrounding Kogi State was like a dreaded place with criminals and all sorts of things. Was there any body that you put in place specifically to protect the forest and stop, the use of the forest for criminal activities?
First of all, let me start from Kogi State. Of course, when we came on board, we employed forest guards, trained them, and they are doing their job excellently well, of course, in addition to what we have done earlier, like I said. See, my dear sister, every inch of the land cannot be protected by law enforcement agencies. But let me tell you, people own those lands. Go to any part of this country today, however thick the forest is. Just start peasant farming. In less than a week, in fact, within one day, within 24 hours, you see the owners of the land, they will come in there and ask you who gave you this land to farm on. So if you're telling me that bandits will come and carry children in their numbers, either through the bush, through footpath, or on the road, by truck, machine, or whatever, and there's no information, there's a lot to question.
So do you think the government is complicit in this? I
don't believe.
Do you think the government is complicit? And
at all times, we continue to call government. You are part of government. The people in the street are part of government. Those in the villages are government. But how much have we instilled confidence in them to make reports? And look, our law enforcement agencies are not that weak as it is being portrayed to fight these crimes and criminalities. Just political will. And when I say political will, I'm not just referring to Mr. President, to the governors, or those that are in office today, including traditional rulers, religious leaders, various groups, ordinary citizens in the streets, or along the streets, or in the villages. Political will. Let people volunteer information. Come out. Because if you say you can't talk, or you don't want to talk, the same crime will still consume you. Come out and speak out.
Right.
And there will be help.
Governor Yahaya Bello, final question for you. There was the time you granted an interview and you kicked against the fact that the country wanted to get COVID-19 vaccines. Now we have the vaccines. Are you willing to take them? Will you be taken?
In Kogi State, we had outbreak of yellow fever twice that I can remember. For the second time that the yellow fever wanted to struck, it did not succeed. First one, we controlled it without making noise about it. And what did we do to prevent a further outbreak was to vaccinate the people. And we went around the state and vaccinated those who feel they want to take the vaccination. And those who took it were never struck again when the yellow fever struck. So I vaccinated the people. I believe in vaccine. But let me tell you, issue of medicine, there's no compulsion in it. I cannot be compelled to take vaccine if I don't want to take it. If I feel I'm healthy enough, if I'm good enough, and I don't want to take it, I wouldn't take it. Even people are free to take their life if they want to take it. Even though it is a crime, we will not allow that to happen. But let me tell you, I am not going to compel anybody to take the vaccine. Whoever wants to take it is free to take it.
But would you receive it in your state,
sir? I will not compel anybody.
Would you receive it, sir?
Of course, anything that is meant for the state, I will receive it.
Okay.
So
and I'll make it available to the citizens.
We can't let you go without asking about accidents within your area. Kogi State is a major conduit transit location. It's the confluence states, Lokoja, Felele Junction, Okene Road. These are roads that link most of Nigeria, but heavily under badly maintained. What are you doing as a governor to push the federal government to do what needs to be done within those areas, considering the number of accidents that are taking place at Felele Junction?
I thank you so much for bringing up this particular issue. I have paid several visits to the Federal Ministry of Works and my dear friend, the Honorable Minister, former Governor Fashola. And he has promised severally to do something. He is doing his best, but within the limited resources, I think he is doing his best. And we will only use this opportunity once again to appeal to him to do more. The roads are bad. I apply the road every day. We don't have airport in Kogi State. And there's no more than 90% of people that fly the north and south and vice versa come through Kogi State. However smooth the roads are in down south or far up north, if Kogi roads, especially the federal roads that crisscross the state, are not fixed, it's not helping matters. In fact, there have been several accidents. One just happened just about 2-3 days back, and a lot of properties were destroyed, and at least I think 2 lives were lost, unfortunately. So we've been pleading with the federal government, and I believe that Governor Fashola is doing his best to ensure that the roads are fixed. All right. But there is paucity of funds. I'm sure that is what is stopping them.
We have to run up at this time, sir. Well, thank you, Your Excellency, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you.
I appreciate you, and please let me use this opportunity once again to call on Nigerians that we must look at ourselves as one. The catastrophe we just averted was going to be something that we couldn't have been able to bear. And there are people that are waiting by the side to cash on it, cash on people's misfortune. We have solved it, and we are solving it. Problems of this nature, little that could snowball into something large tomorrow, should be tackled immediately. Right. We shouldn't play politics about it. We shouldn't make capitals out of it. And I want to appreciate the northern youth, all the youth across the country, our southern counterparts, who embrace this unity and peace that Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari continued to preach. Nigeria will be great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
That's all we can take on that segment. We're going to break. We'll be right back.